This is Peter at the Burkle Farm. I just moved our sheep flock and our couple of cattle into this reclaimed area. I've still got a little bit of trimming out to do, as you can see, but it's kind of been fascinating me as I let the animals in to see what they've been eating first. Just before I started recording, and of course they stopped as soon as I came over here, there was probably about a dozen sheep eating on this big pile of brush that I cut out. They've kind of moved over to that other pile of brush because then I'm not around. But you can see this is where they were before, and you know, they hit it pretty good, and I could have kept them there, but I don't like to keep them in one spot for very long, and I probably should have sized their paddocks down a little more. But we just finished up our second rotation on the farm for the year. Maybe it's our third, I have to think about it. But we've been given quite a bit of rain in the last week or so. We had almost 2 straight days of rain over Saturday and Sunday, which is really great. And the grass is just coming back. And you can see right up here, I continue my battle. I'm skipping that for grazing. I continue my battle with thistles by just mowing them back as they grow seed heads to try to exhaust them out. But there you can see, here I'm gonna put my, right there, they just seem to be going after the cut brush. It's really interesting. Even some of the old dry dead stuff. I suppose I should really think about what it tells me about what they're going after. Maybe that's what they were missing in their last paddocks. But this paddock here was all woods. Even this part over here was all brushy, and we're slowly reclaiming it by using animals. I mean, I do a little bit of chainsaw work, but as far as switching it from woods and then into brush and then down into grass, it's all the animals. And you can see this whole area right here was brush a year ago, and we just continued to throw the sheep in there and the cattle in there. And now we have a really strong mix of, looks like some native, well, I didn't plant any of this, so some white clover. I see a little red clover in here. A lot of, I suppose you'd call them weeds, but the sheep eat them. And yeah, a really nice mix of grass. And you can see the sheep are just going to town on the limbs I cut off this tree. And I just cut those off because I was sick of not being able to walk underneath the tree. And you know, once they get what they want and we move on, I'll throw those on the brush pile. And you know, I have a couple of brush piles around this farm, and some I kind of keep around. You see rabbits living in them and that sort of thing. But others I'm gonna chip up and use. I always have a use for more wood chips on this farm. This path right here used to have a foot of wood chips on it, and it's just totally composted down to almost nothing. But the cattle are back in that heavier brush area, but the sheep, for the most part, have come over here, and we are really enjoying getting past the dry part of the summer. The stress is off, and well, I say the stress on me is off to delicately manage it all. And now we can just go full bore. After this paddock, we'll head into this field beyond here, and I'll walk over there slowly. You can just see I've skipped it a couple times because I was looking for drought management to have a field, and you can see it's just pretty overgrown, so we're going to get in there and eat it and trample it. And then we'll head over that hill all the way to the far end of the farm and start back this way, and that'll take us about 4 weeks to get back. And then we'll head back up into that field over there and start our whole rotation again. So this is another bit that was pure woods, and I just cut it out and got the animals on it, and it's amazing, the grass that just comes up on its own if you just give it sunlight. And that's kind of my long-term strategy, is to continue to thin, not eliminate, but thin woods, so that I can maximize the acreage I have as I continue to look for more rental property. With the way real estate's going and the economy's going, I've kind of hit the pause button on looking to buy more land. Plus, you kind of have to wait for someone to want to sell it. And around here, people hold on to their farms. And so I'm instead been talking to local farmers and neighbors about, you know, leasing land and trying to get them to come and see what I'm doing over here, and would they be interested in something like their farm looking like this. And I find most people are relatively receptive, even though I think half of them think I'm crazy, you know, because I'm not doing corn and soy or hogs and cattle and a lot. But there's no denying the beauty of this, and it's all being done with 4 strands on the outside of the farm of high tensile and 1 strand temporary paddocks, just like this. And the sheep love it. You can see right here, this is the one we were kind of thinking might die, and she's slowly recovering condition, and you can see her hip is healed up a fair bit. I'm going to see if I can get closer. Just as an update, you can see it's sort of scabbed over and the flies have quit messing with it. But, you know, we'll see if she breeds back next year. I'm not particularly optimistic, just by the way that she's not been putting condition on, I suppose. But outside of her, all the animals look really good. This is a 2-year-old right here, so she's had her second set of lambs this year. Just a really beautiful, I'm going to try to get away from the sun so you can see. She's got really cool spots. And this lamb right here is, golly, only 4 months old, and she's just as fat as you'd like. She's going to make a good mom this year. You know, and you can look here, this one's a little hairier. I think I'm going to try to, you know, as I hit my stocking rate, starts culling for desirable traits as well. And this kind of hairy in the summer thing, and I know she's a lamb, so I'll have to keep an eye out next year when they're second years. But I really like the ones like this girl here that slick off really nice and then grow back a big fur coat in the winter. I just think that's a sign of a healthy animal. And some of these that stay hairy, I think, are just going to have a harder time, long and short of it. But, you know, these guys are getting this little, just this little bit, and I'm sure you can see the poles back here. I basically just strung together a couple of sections of woods and brush that I'm trying to reclaim, and I've been cutting out. I'm going to let them deal with it, and then I'll come behind them and finish cleaning it up. I know Ann asked me not to mow all these milkweeds down, or, you know, try to keep them, but we haven't really been seeing the monarchs we were hoping with all this milkweed. I don't know if it's the insecticides or I don't know. We just haven't seen butterflies the way we used to. It's a damn shame, to be honest. But that was the first bit of noise that I've heard since I moved them in. They've just been eating, but I'm between her and the rest of the flock. So I bet if I just move over, she'll join up with the rest of them. She's a nice looking one. These are some nice looking lambs. These are both ewes. She's got a big wide belly. Oh, there they go. Oh, that one's got a limp. I better grab that one up and see what's going on with it. Yeah, she doesn't want to put any weight on that foot. Well, I'm gonna sign out and grab that lamb and see what the deal is. All right, so I got up that lamb. It's this one right here. And nothing feels swollen or broken. It's almost like, I don't know, she can't, like the joint, which would be her knee, I guess. The analog of a knee or an elbow, the second joint, not the wrist joint or the ankle joint. It's just kind of free flopping around. I don't know if she pulled it or what, but we're gonna just mark her. She's number 23 for this year. And check her next tomorrow and we'll see. You know, I know it's not a deficiency because none of the other animals have a issue. There's nothing in her hoof. And nothing feels hot or swollen. And they're getting plenty of vitamins. So we're just going to keep an eye on her and we'll see if maybe she doesn't make the cut and she ends up going into the freezer this winter. We'll see. But that's part of the realities of farming, is sometimes something gets hurt or injured and sometimes they recover and sometimes they don't. We'll see if we can get a little closer and you can see she won't put weight on it at all. It's this one right here. She won't put any weight on it, and I'll see if I can just get closer, but she's running on 3 legs. But I didn't even notice her in the move limping. So maybe she just twisted it on something, or maybe I didn't notice, but something to keep an eye on. Might have to go look at the veterinary guide and see if there's something, but I don't think there's nothing wrong with the hoof. There's no heat or swelling. And it honestly, the muscle feels good. There just didn't feel like a break anywhere. It honestly just looked like something's going on with that joint. Well, we'll see if her condition fades or what the deal is, but that's a shame. She's a nice looking lamb. She was one of our last ones born too, so she's pretty young. Oh, real quick, I'm gonna show you. This is that one ram lamb we caught and castrated, and it's starting to pinch off and dry up. But you can see he's no worse for wear. He's having the time of his life, even though he was pretty sulky that first day when we castrated him. But this time, for real, let's have a good evening. This is